Good morning and good afternoon, members of the media. Welcome to Coach Hilton Moreeng's press conference. Coach Hilton, if I can just kind of ask you to have your video on as well as go to unmute to your video. Without wasting any time, Coach Hilton, thank you for your time. Coach, can you please describe to everyone? Obviously, we are on fifth day of quarantine. For those who don't know, the Momentum Proteas arrived in India, in the city of Lucknow, on Saturday afternoon, and we've been in quarantine since then. This is our fifth day. And then the plan is to obviously have a couple of training sessions before our first game on Sunday. First ODI against India women's cricket side. Coach Hilton, without wasting any time, can you just please give us an indication of how everything has been since you've arrived here? And what are some of the concerns that you have, considering that you're only going to have a couple of days to prepare against a very strong Indian outfit? Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, KK, and good morning to everyone back home, and good afternoon to all those Indian counterparts. From our side, I think since the team has arrived, we've been in quarantine as highlighted, but we knew this was going to happen, and I think each and every player now has been exposed to a bubble. I mean, it's our second tour that we play under the biosecure environment, so it's just that it's very different from what we had at home. With the 6 days that we have to quarantine, it's our last day tomorrow. That's why the players have been in good spirits. They're looking forward to the last day tomorrow. And then eventually we can have our practice opportunity to go out and prepare for a very, very tough opposition like you highlighted that is on our first game on Sunday. So each and every player at the moment, they just focus on what they need to do to get themselves through this. And where possible, we have discussions to make sure that as a team, when we do get out and we are ready for what is coming. I think the build-up towards this has been very good because players back home have been working, knowing that we're going to miss 6 days of preparation prior to the first game.
Just the last one for me before we open it up to the media. So what have been some of the expectations or maybe things that you and your team are looking forward to, considering obviously you've been here a couple of years ago, but obviously Lucknow is a different city to what you were exposed to the last time. What are some of the things that the team can look forward to?
We know Indian conditions. It's not easy for a touring team. It's very difficult for us, and I think most of the players and most of us in the squad and of the management has been exposed to these conditions. We've been here before, and our last visit to India was not a joyful one because of the way that the results went. But even though the players put up a good fight, and you can see that how they went, and they learned a lot from that, and most of those youngsters that were here are now back again to be able to see how they can combat these conditions. And I think for us, for what has been very, very challenging as a team is just, each has to be able to get out of there, and the conditions that we're going to see is the first time that we're going to be at this venue. No one has got any info on this. If there is any info, it's very limited. So we'll see it for the first time as we go out now on Friday for our first preparation. And then first game, we'll see how it goes. But at the end of the day, knowing that India is a team that plays very well on their conditions, so you're going to expect a fight. And each and every player who's going to make the first 11 needs to make sure that they are ready for it.
Thank you, Coach. Just a note to the Indian journals that have joined us. Can I kindly ask you to use the chat panel to indicate when you want to ask a question? A lot of our media back home in South Africa, you're very familiar with how we work. So Zahir, you've been noted. You'll take the first question, followed by Nikki. And then Snehal, I've seen you go third after Nikki. Zahir, over to you.
Hi, Coach. Looks like you guys are settled in well. Coach, just an update. Can you give us an update on Chloe and Danae? How far are they actually progressing? Because this is now the second series. They're obviously not around.
Hello, good morning, Zahir. I think for the two of them, Danae is now entering in the last phase of preparation. She's busy with the condition return to play, and Chloe into a third phase. So Danae should be, if all goes well, should be ready ready to go in April, and Chloe still has another month or two to go before she can start. But the progress so far has been very good. Medical team has been working around the clock because we anticipate a very busy year coming if all goes well. So as far as their injuries, that is resolved is now to make sure that they get back to full fitness to be able to start playing again.
Thanks, Coach.
Nikki, before you... Sorry, Zahir. Members of
Yeah.
the media, can I please ask you guys to go on mute if you are not asking a question? I'd greatly appreciate it if you can just put your mics on mute and then you'll switch your mics on when you do ask a question, because we're getting some background noise, which is obviously disturbing the other of our colleagues. Zahir, please have a follow-up, and then Nikki, you'll go next.
And Coach, sorry about that. Noise. Just in regards to the preparations, you've obviously played in Durban where the conditions were slow and low. And I mean, would you say that's perfect preparation for where you're going, particularly in your bid to get better in those conditions, batting and bowling?
Well, it's conditions that you have to get better, Zahir. I think Durban, as well, it was surprising to all of us. I mean, the way the conditions play, but we take a lot out of it as a team. I think the way the players adapted to the conditions to still be able to get the desired results out of those conditions was very well. So we were very pleased with this, it being our first tour back since COVID has started. So, and now we're coming to India. We anticipate similar conditions, but you never know in India. So anything that may happen on the day, I think if the conditions are slightly better than that, I will be able to adapt. But if it is more or less similar, I think we have been exposed to that. I think girls had a amount of that. So I think overall, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that we have those kind of conditions building up to this too.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Nikki?
Hi, Coach. Between your series in Durban and leading up to you flying off for India, did you guys get together and have any other team practices on that? And then secondly, out of your bowlers for this series now, are you looking at one to like stand up and everyone to work around her, or are you just asking that everyone just stand up and do their bit?
Good day, Nikki. I think for us, building up players were back home. I think we had 2 weeks between this tour and the past one, and the players were back home practicing in the respective provinces, franchises, if you may put it that way. So the build-up has been monitored. Each and every player had certain workloads that they had to work towards, and they've been managing to do that, knowing that what is coming. So coaches back at the provinces have been assisting us with that, because it's also important when you look at mental health of players to spend time with family also before they build up, assemble for this. So we haven't had practice as a squad. Tuesday, now coming Friday will be our first practice as a squad. And as far as the bowling unit, we have an experienced unit and 1 or 2 youngsters that's in there. So it's on the day that who's going to bowl the best and then who's going to manage the conditions well to be able to bowl around. But there's no specific player that you're going to say, listen, this one on the day is going to do well, because they're such an experienced unit and they complement each other very well.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. Snehal, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please go ahead.
Yeah, that's a better pronunciation than most people. Hello, Hilton.
Hello, sir.
So my question is, considering the fact that this is your first away tour in COVID conditions, you're coming here, quarantining, not playing practice games, just a couple of training sessions, the entire series being announced quite late. Was this the weirdest start of a series you've ever experienced, and how do you prepare for that?
I think it's a series like this, the way things have happened, I think it plays more on the mental side. I think the blessing for us as a team, South Africa, is we had already a series that we played. So players have been exposed to competitive cricket, which is a blessing for us. And the way things have happened, yes, traveling and being away, that's why it's our first experience being away from home in a bubble. And it's very, very different, I can tell you. And it was taxing on each and every one the first 2 days. But as things went on, the players started adapting, and you could see that each and every one is now itching to get outside to be able to play competitive cricket. So yes, it has been very different, very challenging at the same time. And the traveling itself also, and plus the quarantining, is not something that anyone can get used to or prepare yourself for. It's once you're here and you start dealing with what you have and then take it one day at a time. Yes, we know India is going to be a competitive outfit, and even the venue that we're going to, we don't have much info like we spoke, like I highlighted in earlier. So it's going to be new for us, but a great experience to play against one of the best teams in world cricket.
So Nahal, do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, in your preparation, I'm sure it started well before you came here. Were you preparing, expecting to see Shefali Verma as early as the ODI series, and any surprises that she's only playing the T20s?
No, you were. I mean, with India, you know, there's a couple of players you expected to play, but at the end of the day, we don't have control what the opposition does on how they select the teams, how they look at it, because they would know their conditions better than us. I think at the end of the day, for us, is just to make sure we prepare and plan for what we have. Yes, you discuss and you sit around and you look at players that they have, and at the end of the day, it's what is dished up in front of you and who is the 11 in front of you that you need to compete against. So for us as a team, yes, preparation has been good, and what India is doing and how they're preparing is not something we can control.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach Sharad. You can go ahead. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Sharad, are you online?
Hi, Coach. This is Sharadeep from Hindustan Times, Lucknow. I would like to ask you, how do you see this series in terms of preparation of your team in the World Cup, next year's World Cup? How do you see this series?
It's vital. We're playing against one of the teams that was now past in the T20 World Cup. It shows a team that has been in the 2017 World Cup final. So you know that India is a team that is always developing, is a team that's very strong, and they play well under their conditions. So for both teams, I think going into the World Cup now, preparation with so much limited opportunities to play cricket these days under the pandemic. So you take this with both hands and make sure that we prepare well, and it's going to give us a lot of answers as a team, is where we go into with building up towards the World Cup. At the end of the day, each and everyone in world cricket now is building towards that, as you see. Australia, not Australia, New Zealand playing against England now in the same type of thing, or trying to prepare for the World Cup. So where there's opportunity, teams will want to play, and for us to be playing against such a great opposition on their conditions, playing well on their conditions, will be a great test.
Okay, the last
Shahad,
question.
do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Please.
What are your expectations after beating Pakistan at home? Now you are here in India. So what are your expectations?
It's we for the team will compete. That is, I mean, as far as expectation, we'll play it day by day, game by game, depending on how the day goes on the day. But we know that the last, like I said, our last visit was not one of the ones we would pride ourselves in. Is to try and improve on that. And I mean, depending on how things go on the day, we have a very competitive squad that was assembled by selection. So for us is to make sure the consistency continue and players can just keep performing the way they did. For them now, we have a head start with one series ahead of India thus far. So we hope that they will count in our favor as far as competitive cricket is concerned, and we'll see how things unfold as the series goes on.
Thanks, Coach. All the best.
We need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharad. Telford, you can go ahead.
Hello, Hilton.
Good day.
Hi. We hear about what the loss of experience means to a team from other teams. You know, when experienced players retire and are no longer there. But in your case, it's almost the opposite. I know you've got a couple of injuries of very experienced players now, but you know, if you go back to even your 2014 season in India, some of those players are still around. Yes. What value does that bring to the side?
I think even when we came, our last visit, there were a lot of youngsters in the team also. I think although the result didn't go our way, but there was a lot of learnings. You know that these players that you want to build towards the future. Now we are the 2022 World Cup is upon us, with these youngsters now slowly maturing, having a lot of game time, and the way they're improving. And it's what is also great to see for us is every time you have a senior player that misses out, there's always a couple around that these youngsters can play with, and they can guide them and help them to grow in their game. So I think with us, the bigger the squad gets, the better for us and how the team is maturing, how the youngsters are being actually tested to see how they can actually experience and how they can come back against certain situations in the game and be given opportunities under pressure to see how they perform. And I think for us, the build-up has been thus far very good with the youngsters that has been coming through, and it is also pleasing to see how they actually have carried out themselves with the talent that they have and to show what they can do under pressure. So for us, we're blessed with youngsters coming through. It's just to make sure that we manage them well and give them enough game time to make sure when opportunity comes again, they're ready.
Thank you.
Telford, do you want to have a follow-up or you good?
I'm all good. Thanks, KK.
All right, cool. Len, over to you.
Hi, hi Hilton. My question just on Telford's is, obviously you have an experienced lineup with Marizan and Shabnim. Are you looking to change your squad considering, or your lineup, your starting 11, considering the different conditions that you experience? Will you play as a spinner? Like, how's your team looking?
That's how we have the selection has assembled a very competitive squad for any condition we might get. Depending on what the servers give us on the day, the selection will go in a way that we feel that the first 11 on the day will be able to compete on that surface. So for us, is not to say we're going to change or not to change. You guided by what is given in front of you, and then to make sure that you pick the best 11 that can compete on the day.
Cool. Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thanks, KK. Can you speak more about the bubble you guys are in? I mean, you guys are traveling to India. Was there any apprehension with safety concerns? Like, how's the bubble life treating you guys over there?
Russell, in all honesty, the bubble is never an easy thing. I think it's something that is outside the norm, and it's something that has to be done to make sure that we can at least do what we love and players can get onto the park and the spectators and supporters back home and around the world can watch cricket being played. So for that is just a sacrifice we have to make, and to make sure that each and every one is safe, because at the end of the day, the medical team, I think they're the most stressed of everyone, because they need to make sure that each and everyone is safe. Yes, the traveling has been challenging, and to make sure that each and everyone is kept safe, and how everything has been managed, how it's been coordinated has been very good. I think thumbs up to our medical team. And even when on our arrival here, they made sure that each and everyone had what they needed before we could go into lockdown, and thus far has been very good. And overall, like I said, the first 2 days have been very hard on everyone. And now that we're looking forward, it's getting closer to get out and to be able to actually go practice and go get a bit of fresh air. It's something that we can't wait for it to happen. But that's why it is, like I tell you, it's not something that is normal. It's not something that you get used to. It takes some getting used to, but it's something that has to be done.
Thank you, members of the media. I'd like to offer anyone an opportunity just to ask one final question. Anyone? Because I see no one on the chat panel. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. I see we've got two. Snehal and then Busi to close it off. Snehal, you can go ahead first.
Thanks. Hilton, last time the pitches in Surat and Baroda took a lot of turn, and those kind of conditions proved to be challenging from a batting point of view. So when you knew that you were coming to India, was there any kind of specific preparation that you did to combat a possible spinning pitch in terms of what you did before you got here? Because after you get here, you won't have much time.
No, it never stopped. To be honest, since it's one of those that you keep working against, you keep working on to make sure you improve as a team. I think that it's always been a challenge for all batting teams that come into subcontinent conditions to be able to combat that, and it's not something that's going to go away. So for us as a team, it's not something that has gone away. It's something we kept working and we've improving. And it will be interesting and very encouraging to see now how our batters go on these conditions. If it happens that the conditions do play like we had the ones in Surat and Baroda. So for us, the preparation has been done and it's been continuous. So we're looking forward to a good challenge.
Thanks.
Lucy, you can go ahead.
KK, sorry, I see Busi's question is typed in the chat panel. I think she has a problem with her microphone.
Do you have access to it, Tahir? Because I don't see anything. She sent me a question in the DM. I can't see anything here.
So the question
here it
is,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, Coach, question is, what sort of mental preps are needed for this tour, especially the first 2 games, seeing that there isn't a lot of time to prepare because of the quarantine? Also, what have been the effects of the quarantine on the squad? Thank you, Busi.
Mental preparation, I think it's for, what kind is needed is just to make sure that players now start understanding that they need to trust on their ability as players. They've done well as a team to be where they are now, and to just go on there and play the condition as it comes. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't also want to over prepare as fast and start stressing about things you don't know what's going to happen. It's just to make sure take control of what you can, and on the day execute things how you see it. Because as a team, we know what we're good at, we know what we can do, and the opposition will be playing against what they possess in front of us. So all of those are there for them to see. And then at the end of the day, it's just to make sure that as players, they need to make sure they keep working extremely hard to being calm and making proper decisions under pressure, and to identify key moments in the game. So that's it. So it's not a lot that goes into that, but just to make sure that although they know it's only 2 days before, 2 days of prep before the first game, a lot of work has been done starting in the year. So we had a tour, and then we still had 2 weeks of prep that they had going into this. So there's a lot of work that's been done, a lot has been covered. It's just to make sure that when the day comes, it's for them just to prepare and then make sure that mentally they're ready and fresh and to be able to go out and execute their skills.
Thank you, Coach, and thank you, members of the media, for taking the time to join us for this press conference. Our next media engagement is going to be with our captain. We're just waiting for confirmation from our Indian counterparts to confirm when the team's captain is going to take place. Thank you very much. Hope you have a good morning and a good afternoon. Take care.